So you're back in Tenterfield for a period of time before your project starts up again.
Yeah, I'll be going
Until
back
you
to
head
Papua
back to Papua.
at the end of the month.
Okay.
Okay,
And what
maybe
kind of season?
a little
What
bit early
seasons?
into August.
Okay. And what's the season then? Is it are you kind of basing your time there during wet and dry, or is it wet and dry?
Okay. So in West Papua, there are no seasons.
Okay.
There are no seasons at all.
It's more of it, but it's as in northern Queensland or whatever, it's just wet and dry. You don't really have a spring, summer.
When you're on the equator, it's even one step beyond. So there's no longer even wet and dry season. So it's funny. Normally, when I go to different areas and I sit down with local farmers, I'll be talking to them and saying, "All right, well, what can you tell me about the seasons? What month of the year do you harvest durians, and what month is the coffee? All this kind of thing. When's the langsat?" But when I did this across the whole of, when I went to 30 different villages around Tambrau, it was always the same. It was pretty much there's no seasons at all. Like every month is like, you can have something in any month. And the only thing that was seasonal was the waves. So there was like, there were certain months when this is Musim Ombak. So like, this is when the waves come in and we can't go fishing. But other than that, there was just, it's like some days it rains, some days it doesn't, but it's always hot and it's always there's no seasons. So I mean that's really interesting for the chocolate and the coffee, because if let's say my friends are in the Philippines, or my friends in Bali even, they have particular months when the coffee is harvested, and the same thing with the chocolate. There's a big peak season or there's two crops, but in Papua every month. It's a little bit every month, because it's continuously flowering, continuously fruiting, and it just brings its own issues. So it means you'd have no break from the pest.
Yeah, that's interesting in that, and exactly. There's no break for the pests, and it's just a continuous flow. Yeah, that's interesting seasonal aspect. Wow.
Yeah, trees just fruit when they want to. So you can be looking at a mango tree and it's got fruits hanging off one branch, another branch is flowering, another branch is just sitting there like green. So yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Things get confused on the equator.
Yeah, take time to get that into your brain and get used to that the cyclical sort of affair.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed. Wow. And so when you go back, you have a localized area that you're going to, or you've kind of worked out your parameters or different villages, and you go back to that same village, or you go back to a localized area?
Oh yeah, so we'll be going back to Ransiki. So that's the big chocolate plantation. It's the main employer in the whole of South Manokwari. I'll be spending 5 weeks there, but I'll also be going up to the Arfak Mountains where the coffee is, and that's where there's 8 villages up there. And I work with all the farmers groups, and we're working out ways to help them produce their own planting stock and grow organically.
Okay. Wow. Wow, it seems like a great project.
That's actually a very good project, and this is the first time I'm hearing it.
Sounds exciting.
Yes, Frederick, please continue.
Okay, I'm saying that you're actually doing an amazing project, and it's interesting the way you've given a very credible example with the mango tree, and you find different parts having different labels, so it's interesting, and I think we can be able to just even do one and also to understand it better and get the outcome from it step by step.
Yes. So, Frederick, whereabouts are you located?
I'm located in Kenya, Nairobi area.
And what is the latitude in Kenya?
I think Nairobi is very far from the equator, but not that much far.
Yeah. It's I just noticed like what I was talking about with this. Well, we talk about the tropics, but actually there's such a huge difference between the equator and then the outer tropics. So, like when I'm in Bali, which is about 8 degrees, it's very seasonal and it's reliable. You know, oh yeah, these I mean, less so these days, but you generally know that like you harvest Arabica coffee in, I think it's in May, and I think Robusta in August. That's at 8 degrees. But once you get up to like, once you're on the equator, like 0, all the plants, they work differently. So you have to relearn. You have to relearn farming because of that.
Yeah.
Can you
Another thing that's interesting, I think, for the I was talking before about bamboo not having a high liming equivalent, so it doesn't change the pH that much. Which it's a bit of a pity because something we face all the time in Papua is that the areas near the coast, they generally have a very high pH, so like 7.6. But then when we go into the mountains, it's always acid. So the pH is like 4.2. So we really need, one of the major limitations to growth is like it's too acid in the mountains. So biochar is,
okay.
So, like, I think that's it's too expensive to bring lime from the coast, even though it's abundant. Just the cost of trucking and the quality of the roads, it means like having the ability to create biochar, maybe from wood, is, I think it's almost essential for agriculture in that area. And I think that's part of the reason why people do burn.
Yeah.
Because we were testing the soil, and after they do the burning in the forest, this pH would rise to about 7. But then over time, it returns back to the baseline, which is the natural forest around it. The pH is like 4.2, which is too acid for cultivation.
For cultivation, okay.
Not many crops thrive at 4.2 because you have like aluminium toxicity, manganese toxicity, iron toxicity. But if you can get the soil pH above 5.5, then lots of different crops will thrive, and all those toxicity issues just go away.
All right. So I got I looked at the latitude. So Nairobi's about 1.2 south of the equator.
So it's really equatorial too.
And Meru, where we were running the project, which is on the side of a mountain, so the elevation's much different, around 1,500. It's around 0.05 north of the equator.
That's the same as where I am in Papua, is about 0.5.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, like not very much coffee in that happens down in Nairobi, but most of it happens up on the mountains. So in the higher elevation sort of areas is where the tea and the coffee is all being grown. But yeah, I somehow I didn't know that exactly. I knew it was equatorial, but I didn't know it was that close to being on the equator.
Oh, I didn't realize either. But I guess so. Do you have strong seasons there?
They have a wet and dry season. They go through they go through 2 wets, or 2 dry periods, and the rest is kind of wet. And it does definitely, it gets cooler during those periods during the wet seasons. Frederick can tell you more about that because he's our local resident in Nairobi.
Yeah, basically Jay is true, and I'll help him. Actually, we have 2 seasons for planting, where we have the long rains and the short rains, and it's obviously that in the mountain, that's where we do a lot of coffee and tea plantation because of the high altitude. And now we have a long rains that comes from around March to July, then the short one is October, December. So during the long rains, we take advantage of planting crops that have a long duration of time, and at the short rains, we plant the ones that are having a shorter time of maturity. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Sorry.
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Okay. All right. I wanted to just say that about with the agriculture in Kenya and what Reville said before about the tea, how the bamboo biochar is very good for tea. I didn't really get to give Reville a background, but in what we were working with in Kenya was that all these many clumps of bamboo that have been just left and to grow for 8 to 10 years that are like totally overgrown and need all thinning out and everything. And the potential of bamboo like hasn't been, recognized by the farmers and the local communities. And but like Leonard from the Riziki youth, like he's really trying to promote it to the tea farmers and also to promote biochar as a means of doing filtration from the runoff from the tea factories. So they want to be able to process in the bamboo clumps, make biochar, be able to sell that to the tea factories where they process the tea because there's high nutrient runoff there. So he was talking about making dipping things again, Jaye gabions, and then also selling the biochar from the bamboo to the farmers. So we're doing like a youth initiative there to form youth cooperatives to be able to go in and do the work to make all the biochar. Because it's very hard for single farmers to, do any of that sort of work. So it's very interesting you said about tea that it helps the soil pH, or doesn't adjust the soil pH with the charcoal.
Yeah, that's right.
And so do you use it at all, like for water filtration or any of those other sort of applications?
Yeah. So when I was recently in Sumba, which is an island southeast of Bali, and down there at where I was running a permaculture skills course, we're using the bamboo charcoal in wastewater systems. So domestic wastewater, after the water is come out of the house or the showers and that kind of thing, we'd run the effluent through a bed of charcoal, and it really helps like absorb the nutrients and pollutants from the water. And these are processed by the bacteria living inside the charcoal, and then that charcoal becomes like supercharged with nutrients. And when that's put around, say we put it around the papaya trees, just the most amazing health of these papaya trees. And there's such a contrast to all the other trees in the landscape. The ones that had this charged biochar were just like not a blemish on them. They were just loaded with fruit and just perfect.
Okay.
So I think if you did something like that with using biochar to filter the waste from the factory, of the tea factory, and then after it's been there for 3 to 6 months, dig it up
then
and put it on farmers' crops and watch what happens, and just recharge it. Put some new stuff in there.
Yeah, it's kind of like inoculating it to some degree, but using the waste product as your inoculator, which is a great idea, rather than actually trying to set up some separate system to do it all together. It's a great thing.
Well, another thing that I do at home is after I make biochar, because I had the same situation. I went away to Indonesia for many years. I came back, all my bamboo's overgrown, about 10 years unmanaged, and you have to do a really heavy prune. So you take away about 70 to 80% of the biomass is removed. And I turn this to charcoal. And one of the best uses for the charcoal is to put it into the chicken house as bedding in the chicken house. And just let them, it absorbs the odor, reduces the bacteria, and it just soaks up all the nutrients from the chicken house. And then when that gets put onto the soil, it's fantastic.
Mm. Yeah, I've been doing kind of similar things, but I kind of my chicken area has, I've been putting some inside the pen itself, but I put it in my large compost that the chickens are into, so where all the daily scraps and things like go, and the chooks come and eat from there. But I've been just using the uninoculated stuff and just piling it in there, because then by the time it goes through the second round, you're bringing out the gold to put on trees and things like that.
But it really has such a great effect on the trees.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, we were a little bit successful. We created a 4-tank water treatment system on the land. So a lot of because we had a lot of biochar that was made during the process of it, because I wanted the students to be really up on it. So we any opportunity, every time we had excess bamboo, we were just putting it through the kiln, getting as much as we possibly could. And we had to go at making some. One of the students was really into the idea of mixing with cassava and making briquettes. Another one was, then Martha, she has a kind of background in water treatment. And she was like, oh, maybe we can do this. And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's make so we made like a 4-tank, and each of those tanks, so I think was around 400 liters, 400 or 500 liters. And we did the process from large rocks down to and sand down to the final filter, which was just basically biochar, as a way to deal with. It's not a creek, but they have these kind of aqueduct sort of trenches or canals that they run on contour across the valley, and they catch any of the major runoff, but it helps feed water sources for the farmers. But it's quite sizable. It's kilometers and kilometers long along that one contour, and we were using that water and then running it through to get a more pristine state, so that we could use it within the land itself. But, there's so many potentials.
The ability of bamboo charcoal to soak up like agricultural poisons, agricultural pesticides, toxins, and that. It's a good policy to run the water through a filter from such a public channel like that before putting it onto your land, because whether it's heavy metals or organic chemistry, the synthetic stuff, it's going to be soaked up by the bamboo biochar. A lot of it will be.
Yeah. You never really think about the chemical sort of. I don't usually think about the chemical content, because you're there and you don't see it. You're not there when people are using pesticides. You're not there when people are dumping oil or like that, and it happens everywhere. We need to get rid of this. Let's just tip this here, and away you go. But it all makes it into the water table.
Yeah, and people just say that you finished spraying your field, and then you see it all the time. A lot of people just go and wash their spraying equipment in the channel. And just if no one's watching, then people just
no one knows,
watching,
right? No one's watching it. No, that's it.
So, but it's good the charcoal is really good at soaking that up. It's good that you're using a kiln for it, because the kind of charcoal I was talking about, burning in an open pit, it tends to be a softer charcoal, which is really handy for the agriculture. It just crumbles up. But like when you use a kiln or a retort, you can get that really hard charcoal that's had all the volatiles burnt out of it, and it just you can, when you hit it, goes ting.
That was the we actually eventually made a top tube on it, so we could try and gather bamboo vinegar as well, which was pretty successful. But it was all about, so when you're doing your burning, you're using green bamboo or using dried. You're using green?
I always use dry.
Dry, okay, yeah.
Dry.
But
we'll just leave it in the field.
Ours was dry,
Yeah.
Ours was dry or semi-dry, as dry as it can get, in the fact that you're in an environment where it's raining quite a bit as well.
Yes.
But we tried to dry it out and keep it as dry as possible. We seemed to get more vinegar when it was, it was like a week dry versus like a month.
Yep.
There was more moisture content
Makes
inside
sense.
of it, and it had a density, like, because it's just coming from from the vapor coming out, and it's turning to moisture and then dripping out in that sort of manner. But I was wondering, because I have seen some people, they're just doing large open pits, but you lose a large portion of what you're doing as well. I mean, you don't get the same inside of a kiln. You're kind of maximizing the amount of burn. Where an open one, you keep adding and you keep adding and you keep adding until you get your fire up, and then you recognize it as it turns to red coals, and then that's when you douse it. Is that how you?
Yeah. So when you start a fire in an open pit, what you're doing is you're starting like a normal fire in the bottom of the pit, like a normal fire, just lots of oxygen coming through, and then you just keep on adding your material, and what you'll see is that the material will turn black very quickly. It'll off gas, and you'll have white smoke coming out, and then the white smoke will stop, and then you know that it's basically those volatiles have left, and at that point you then put more material on top. So it's a bit of an art. You just keep on putting material on top, and what happens is that when there's new material on top to burn, the material underneath doesn't continue burning very much. So
the flame gets transferred up to the volatiles that are coming out of the stuff on the top.
I think they call it like a flame cap.
Okay.
Flame cap. So a lot of all the oxygen is sort of occurring is at the top. And then what's happening underneath, you've got a big bed of coals underneath, which is in an oxygen deprived. It's not no oxygen, but it's much less.
It's deprived of because the flame's taking most of the oxygen on the top to burn the volatiles. Yeah.
That's right. So it's slowing down on top. And you just keep on going until you run out of material or it's time to stop. And then if you have access to water, you can put it out very quickly just by quenching it. And there is some benefit to that, because as you put on the water, you can hear it expands like popcorn. Yeah, you can hear it cracking and popping, and it's just, and it makes it easy to break up later. And I think it also has some impact on the pore size as well. But let's just say you're in a water deprived situation, you just cover it with soil.
Okay. Use that as a way to
just shovel all the soil that you dug out of the pit. You throw it on top of the charcoal until it's smothered and no smoke is coming out. And then you just have to wait, say, 3 days until it cools down.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to cool down for sure.
Yeah, like 3 days. Take the soil off the top and you'll have a nice bed of biochar underneath.
Yeah, great.
I've used that in the...
So I wanted to ask, like one of the things Martha said with how they're bringing in the carbon credit, the whole carbon credits and, sequestering, blah, 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 with biochar, like that's an aspect of income in Kenya is the whole carbon sequestration. And Martha was like concerned about like the amount of smoke that's emitted when the fires are first burned, and I think she said they started off with the open pit ones, but she wants to go towards the Kontiki one. And then I saw a picture on that she shared where they actually had biochar like in a big industrial kind of system, like a totally closed chamber. Don't know how much energy that uses to get going. But have you got any thoughts on that side?
Well, I mean,
how much carbon is emitted during the process of burning the bamboo in an open pit method?
There certainly is some smoke, and particularly if you're not doing it right, you produce more smoke, or if it's green. But for example, like the Kontiki system, it's also a cone shape made from metal. And I always thought, like, what's the point on spending money on infrastructure made of metal in the shape of a cone when the earth will do just as well.
Yeah.
And so we just stuck with the earth as being our crucible, as our kontiki. And I think if you did more training and skill with the operators so that they produce less smoke, that would be good. I guess my concern is once you get above that and you start getting into technology, then things need to be imported. They have cost, and actually taking away the accessibility to everybody. It becomes only people have access to investment. It's not every farmer who can do it. So that's why I like to just keep it simple. But yeah, I mean, I love the technology, but when I'm just trying to show people that, hey, you can do this on your farm, it needs to be dead simple. So anything done with earth is fantastic. I mean, are there better earth ovens that could we build an earth kiln? I mean, I know they do this traditionally for charcoal, but maybe there's I don't know if there's a top lit upward draft way that you can light charcoal that way.
Sorry, you have a late start on yours. But I really appreciate hearing your journeys with biochar.
Delayed. I'm not sure why. I think because I haven't reset
just before you do go,
my computer and all.
Could you just tell me what types of bamboo you're working with over in Kenya? And maybe Frederick, you also know, like, what species do you work with? So
we've got the main species that they planted during so this is about 10 years ago when they did a lot of the climate initiative and reforestation. So they're using a Dendrocalamus strictus, a Dendrocalamus gigantea. Yes. And there is a common bamboo, which is the vittata.
Vulgaris. Yep,
vulgaris. And they've got both varieties, both the vittata, the yellow with the green stripe, and also the green. And they actually have in the mountains. They actually have a running bamboo, which is the urea, Philostachys urea.
Right.
So that's that's a bit more protected because it's their indigenous bamboo in Kenya, but and then there is also supposed to be an Abyssinia, but I haven't come across it anywhere. I've looked at a handful of different places, both in like Laetitia and up in the mountains and all over the place, but they're the kind of the standard ones that have been planted. So there's some really the gigantea, Dendrocalamus gigantea is kind of like that stuff really kicks forward there. You get some serious serious growth that's going 30 meters in 8 weeks, so to speak.
That's right. But in Papua, I haven't identified all the different bamboos that are there. Because some of them are just who knows if they're native or they're naturalized, and they hybridize as well. But there's definitely Dendrocalamus and Giganticloa and things like that. Clumpers. But I was just thinking, when you're talking about charcoal, once you get it, you're gonna have to find the right species for the purpose. And I know that in Thailand, the Thyrsostochys species, like the monastery bamboo and relatives of those, they have a very solid culm, and they're specifically used for charcoal in Thailand. So it's like keeping an eye on.
The one that went the best is the strictus, because the strictus is quite a solid core. It's actually the woodiest, and it gives the best quality charcoal out of all those, where the rest are not as thick walled, and because they're faster growing in that sense as well. Yeah, you're a wealth of knowledge on that thing, and I wish you well with your projects. I don't know. I'd love to pick your brain if I get myself into a situation. It's always good to have some chords. Mystery caller, who can I call?
Yeah. So I'm here on WhatsApp. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook too. So
okay, I'll get your thing for Instagram, because I'll follow you on that, and then that's a good one to have, and I can see what you're up to along the way.
yeah,
I really appreciate that.
Be a few updates coming.
Yeah, great.
Yes, Leonardo.
Hi everyone. Good to see you, Fred, Jaye, Natalie, and Reville. Is it Reville so or Reville so?
Yes.
How do you pronounce it?
Most people just call me Rev. Makes it easier.
Okay.
I just make it short, like Australians do. Rev.
Okay.
Rev will do.
All right. I think I've been listening to what you've been talking about on using the biochar to help condition the soil. Fred, your microphone is on.
Yeah, just
okay. So I have an organization called Riziki Youth, as maybe Natalie would have mentioned. And we were discussing with Martha as well to do training on biochar, because we have so many tea farmers around where we come from. So these tea farmers would really like to use an organic fertilizer, because sometimes you find that the ones that the ones bought from processed ones, the one bought from shops and what have you, they don't stay in the soil for long. So if we could get something that maybe will stay in the soil for longer, which I believe biochar helps to keep that nutrients locked in, I think that would be nice. And also, if we can find a way to produce it in a way that it's packageable and can be produced at a larger scale, so that farmers can have access. We were thinking of maybe having a central position where we can make the biochar and then farmers pick it from there, or farmers can create ones near their farms and get the biochar from there. And I think once you spoke of having was it pawpaws or something, some crops that were doing so well with the biochar.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if we can replicate that one, especially for tea, then it would be very good, because it's the main cash crop. We also have some members who are growing passion fruits, purple passion fruits, and it's organic. It's all organic. So, but they use manure from maybe cow dung or sheep droppings, and then applied on the holes. So I don't know how biochar would enhance that. It would make it much better compared to just using it, just composting the cow dung and applying it on the passion fruit. But I think if it can work, then if it can work better, then I think it would be a game changer, because they depend heavily on agriculture and proceeds of agriculture.
Yeah. On a personal level, I have co-composted animal manures with biochar, and the effect is very, very good. So it does stop the nutrients from leaving the system longer. Even when you use synthetic fertilizer, quite often if you have, like, say, synthetic phosphorus, superphosphate, and when it comes into contact with the soil, with the mineral soil, it's only a matter of days before that phosphorus binds up with the soil and becomes fixed and is no longer accessible to the plants. But when you mix even synthetic fertilizer, mix it with organic matter, the fertilizer will bind to the organic matter and it'll actually stay available for weeks. So this is true with composts and manures, but yeah, even with synthetic fertilizers, the biochar and compost will still help that. And I've seen some really amazing impacts of biochar and rock minerals mixed together with passion fruit, particularly on acid soils. They really responded. So you have passion fruit leaves that are the size of a dinner plate, you know, really healthy plants. So what I will do is I'll send some links to Natalie, just things. I have to look them up again, but I remember years ago going down a pathway of looking at biochar use in Japan on tea plantations. So there is actually lots of research out there from Japan. They're using biochar on green tea green tea in Japan. So it's not just we don't have to start from zero. There's already some published work out there.
I think that would be nice. What about the kilns? I heard you talk about having, I think, digging up a hole and using it instead of having to design a kiln.
Yeah, so because we're in remote areas, we would just, if you imagine the shape of a kiln, like the conical kilns, like the Kontiki system, we were just digging that into the earth. So we just choose one location where it was nearby to a large supply of biomass or a place where we could easily bring things to. And we just do all our processing in one place so that we don't cause too much damage to the landscape. And yeah, we were excavating conical kilns to begin with, and it worked really well because as the embers build up in the base of the cone, the oxygen doesn't they don't continue to burn, and it's quite efficient. But after a while of doing that, and when we're dealing with truckloads of material, we decided that we wouldn't be as efficient, but we'd just do square-sided hole in the ground, and it still worked fine, especially when you have a large amount of material. So lots. When you produce the tea, do you have many? Do you have waste material that comes from the tea processing?
Yes, there's the dust that comes from tea, and when it piles up, it becomes quite voluminous. So yeah, I think that's the main waste that comes from tea, and maybe at the buying centers where the farmers aggregate the tea, there's a lot of waste that's maybe not residues that were not collected, or yeah, there's a lot of waste mass from the buying centers.
What kind of material is that you're getting in those places? Is it like small branches, or is it?
No, for the tea, it's the leaves, the tea leaves. Yeah, so at the factory, it's the dust, but it piles up because it's a lot of dust. It piles up. I think I have a photo of one of them. Maybe I will just share. I've shared it with
I'm just thinking about there's some materials that can become biochar as well, like for example small branches or shells. But when you get down to things like dust, it's probably just something that you will then blend with the biochar and then heap it up to compost.
So it acts as the inoculant part of?
Yeah, it will give you'll get the nutrition and the carbon from the tea dust. Will probably help mature the biochar so that when you add it to the soil, it's in a better condition.
Okay. There's also some bit of biochar that comes from the boiler during processing of, because sometimes it's not all the wood burns, so there's usually a remainder of it. But that can be converted also. I think it's not being utilized at the moment. It's just been left outdoors, so it's not being used. So I don't know if that can also be just utilized like biochar, and maybe
I think it is like all these things. If it was natural, then whether it's been burnt or composted, it can all be put back together. And I think we have to monitor a few parameters, like particularly for tea, you have to monitor the pH. Because you don't want to be putting on something that's too alkaline, like too high pH, onto the soil for tea, because it'll push the soil out of the zone that tea likes to be in. The good thing about bamboo biochar, as I was saying, is it doesn't have a high liming effect. But you can help this by nice pile. If you take something that is acidic, like probably tea leaves is probably quite acidic. I'd have to test it, and then you mix it with something which is high pH, and then they cancel each other out and become neutral. So this is one prospect as well. Yeah, that's a good pile. Oh, we lost him. Natalie, are you still there?
Oh, I'm here, Reville.
Hi, hey, Frederick, how you doing? I'm going to try and...
I'm doing okay.
Oh, he's back. Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I also dropped off for a minute.
It's good that we can get back again. Some platforms it's difficult to get back.
There's like a 10-second delay. I wanted to ask how long roughly from when you harvest the bamboo until it's dry enough to start burning for the biochar? Because when we were in Kenya and we burnt some of the bamboo when it was still fairly half dry, and there was so much black smoke and stuff. Roughly how long usually until the bamboos dry out, or does it depend a lot on the species before you can start creating the biochar?
Well, it's like it's a good question. It's like how long is a piece of string? But there's a couple of factors that I've noticed. Like when I cut my bamboo, and I cut the whole column down and drop it, and the leaves, leave all the branches and leaves on it. Those leaves will help draw the moisture out of the bamboo faster. And then, so I believe that, I'm in winter in Australia at the moment, and it takes about 3 weeks for me, because now it's stopped raining. We have winds, even though it's very cold temperatures, it's drying out pretty well. So it takes about 3 weeks. In Papua, where it's always raining, you never know. It can rain, it might rain for 2 or 3 days, and then it won't rain for a week, and it's very random. But people generally say about a month after they cut, they can do burning. It could be extended, could be longer if it's very wet. So yeah, that's the kind of time frame. So at least 3 weeks and possibly longer. And you just wait until the bamboo's dry, and all the leaves, the leaves dropping off is a really good indicator that it's drying down well. And I was just burning some the other day, and yeah, I didn't have much smoke issue. So I know we're recording, so I think Natalie's going to have to get that answer a bit later. yeah, like just I think that leaving the leaves on, because what I used to do is cut the bamboo and then chop the top off, and then yeah, you're back again.
Yep.
So I kept on
I don't
answering
know
while
how's
you were
my
gone,
sound now.
but yeah, good.
I'll listen to it again later.
Yeah, I mean, just
Oh,
quickly, I was
cool.
just saying that it's very variable, but for example, when I cut the bamboo and I leave the leaves on with all the branches, it helps dry the bamboo out faster than if I chopped it into pieces immediately. And for me, it takes at least 3 weeks, and it can be, you know, a month or more to dry. But yeah, I guess you figure out how long it takes normally, and you just schedule your time for that.
Mm,
You wouldn't want to be in a hurry.
Awesome. Yeah, I asked Reville a bit earlier, Leonard, before you hopped on, about the tea plantations and about the gabions, like putting biochar into the, oh God, again, no, biochar into the gabions. And he said that's a really good idea. We can listen back over the chat. But to, like, as it gets the runoff go into that biochar, to change it every. Oh, I think you did hear that, didn't you? Because you mentioned it. I didn't realize.
I'd start with
you're
at
on the
least 3
call
months.
then.
At least 3 months, and then
To use that on the. That's when he
try
was
different
talking about the papaya.
And I don't know how strong the sun, you know, if it's semi-shaded there, if it's not always in the sun. Yeah, you have these onion bags, like the plastic net bags that people take onions to.
Yeah, because
something like that. It's
yeah, I
easier
asked that
to
question also about
take
the.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, so fill it into those bags, throw it into the holes, and then it's easier to get it out later. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's right. This is a system that I read about that Paul Stamets was
She's
using
one ladies that's
in California. This is with mycofiltration. So he was using inoculated. He was using wood chips that have been infected with fungal mycelium, and he was using those as biofilters. So it's the same concept, but we're just talking about charcoal bags instead. So you could either just shovel the charcoal out and put in fresh charcoal, or if you were really doing it at scale, maybe it's in bags, and it's easier to then pick them up, put them aside to drain, and then take them away on a truck and spread them on fields. It's really, it depends on your system.
And in terms of like training and like getting that practice right to do like good pit charcoal, don't know what we're going to call it, the pit method. Do you know any good resources for that, or is it just a matter of maybe someone who does it, well, to be able to go and train them in person, or how do you think is the best way to convey that to people? Because what we're trying to do in Kenya is create a youth cooperative where that knowledge can be passed on and like just be making heaps and heaps of biochar on all the farms where the bamboo clumps are overgrown, because at the moment the bamboo has no value to the farmers. But yeah, it's going to be a bit of a propagation process to get it happening on a broad scale. So yeah, we're wondering what's the best kiln and the best technique, and what's the most effective way to transfer that knowledge and information on making it.
It's a bit of a tricky one, because I know there are resources out there. Definitely on YouTube, there's some good videos where you can see that they're using these different methods, like the open pit method, for example. But really, it comes down to finding someone who's got the interest, and you don't need that many people. You just need someone who shows an aptitude for it and is willing to be coached and learn, and someone who really, like, shows an interest in it, and get them to start making it, and sort of trying to improve their methods. Like when I started making charcoal, there wasn't much information out there, so I just started, and then started to feel my way through the process. And you can see, I want to do it like this, I get more charcoal. And there's an art to like playing with the fire, to knowing when to put more material on and when to stop. So yeah, you need someone who's at least has that. You need to find the right person who's willing to do that, who's gonna be self-guided in learning how to do it, and then supply them with some resources to be able to do that. And it's good there are some videos around, but yeah, it's still hard to explain. Like playing with fire is a bit of an art.
What about you, Leonard? Like, you guys did do some biochar. Like, how was your experience with making it? And did you come across any particular problems, or have you got any questions for Reville on the actual method of making the biochar?
I think the challenge of the biochar is to be able to maybe burn the biomass without turning it into ash. When it's dry, it sometimes burns really fast, and before you know it, you have no biochar, you only have ash. So I think that's where the challenge is.
Yeah, definitely, you're right. So the drier it is, the faster bamboo can burn very, very fast. But yeah, that's just you build your pit to the size that is manageable for you, and then you just keep on adding material. You just put new material to smother the old material. So, and if you wait too long between additions, more of it will turn to ash. And I just do batches. I do batches. So when it gets to the point where I don't have any more material, or it's just I've run out of time, then I just close that batch. And so I might have several holes all working. Some are cooling down, some are like preloaded, and some are waiting to empty out. But yeah, like that's the best. When we had someone just standing there managing the fire and just adding stuff continually, that would give us quite a good yield. And if you do get a little bit of ash, don't worry. Like we weren't trying to be super efficient, so we weren't worried about whether we got 28% yield or 32% yield, because we were just basically trying to produce more charcoal. So we didn't have a shortage of material, so we were just trying to do it quickly and produce the mass, because we couldn't produce enough to meet all our needs. When we had enough to supply all the nursery and all the vegetable gardens, we still needed more, because we were doing landscaping up on the hills where the soil is very poor, and the biochar that was really good up there for improving the soil structure. So we never had a shortage of applications of biochar. We just needed more.
Can you also again just share with Leonard about that potting mix that you came up with for the re-veg? Was it rice hull and biochar, and I forget the other thing?
Yeah, so it was native soil. So quite often we'd use almost topsoil. So you don't really want the soil from the very surface where it has the living grass or the lots and lots of seeds in it. You want to scrape that away just a little bit until you get down to a slightly cleaner soil, but it's still, you know, from the top zone. And if you mix that with a bit of charcoal and some cow manure or goat manure and then rice hulls, that was an excellent potting mix. Now, sometimes we couldn't get the topsoil. All we had was the subsoil, so the soil from even lower down, which has almost no organic matter. And we would create topsoil by mixing with the same mix. So mineral soil plus biochar plus animal manure. And the rice hulls are just there to, like, along with the charcoal, they just keep it open and fluffy. They let the oxygen in. That's the main purpose of the rice hulls. And then we couldn't use it fresh. And I think that's because of the rice hulls. When you have potting mixes that you make with rice hulls and you try and use them straight away, you often get a die-off, you get fungal problems. So, because I think as soon as they get moist, all these different fungi grow out of the rice hulls. But if all we do is just leave it in a pile and leave it to mature for 3 weeks, then it's fine. Then it was an excellent potting mix. And so we grew about 100,000 tree seedlings using that mix, and we didn't add any extra fertilizer for the entire grow period. So just the nutrients from the biochar, the soil, and a little bit of, wasn't very much animal dung because we were always short. We never had enough animal dung. So we had to be pretty sparing with it. And just that was enough to grow the trees, like healthy tree saplings.
How long do you have to maybe keep the dung to have it in the mix with biochar and apply it on the?
Well, we would go straight to the animal pens, and we would shovel it out, and then we'd mix it the same day. So it was fresh cow manure. Like, obviously, we go to the pens where all the cows are being kept or the goats are being kept, and just shovel out whatever we could find, and then we'd bring it back to the nursery, and then mix that with the soil, the rice hulls, and the biochar. Mix it all together, wet it down with some water, and then just leave it with either covered, or we could either cover it in straw, or we could put a tarpaulin over the top and just leave it there for, say, 3 weeks. And if you leave it longer, it's even better. But it's a minimum 3 weeks. And then it became a very good potting mix.
Okay. I bought some microbial solution.
Yes.
But I think it's supposed to be mixed to the cow dung and then let to digest it. I think it helps to compost it faster.
Yes.
Then what I was thinking is to add biochar to that mixture. I don't know if I should add it before or after composting it. Does it help to add biochar before?
I think if you've got a living microbial mix, it's best to, for example, do a blend like I was talking about. So you mix the cow dung and the biochar and the soil and all the other components together, and then irrigate that with the microbe mix. Because let's say you were to take the microbes and mix them directly with the biochar, you might find the biochar has the pH is too high, and so it's not matching with the bacteria. Whereas when you mix all the blends, when you blend all these things together, you're going to have a pH which is more balanced.
Okay.
Plus, they have a different food source. You know, they have manure, they have charcoal, they have rice hulls, there's lots of different things for them to feed on. I think it's going to be a better effect.
So is that just a matter of a pH test kit, or like how do you sort of like know how to balance those elements of the mix?
You can get a general idea that some things are more acidic and some things are higher pH. So things that have been burnt and ashes, they tend to be high pH. And then things that are, rich and organic tend to be more acidic. And then soils can be either. See, soils are so you just kind of blend. The more things you blend together, the more of an average you're going to create. So you mix some acid things, you mix some alkaline things, and you mix it all together, and then test the blend, and then test it again after a few weeks, because it's probably going to change when it ferments. It might start off with a higher pH, and then the microbial activity and the weathering will just will bring the pH back down to a normal, which is good soil is somewhere between 5.5 and 7.5. That's the range of pH which most plants like to live at, and that you find most good soils are at. Like a perfect garden soil out of the textbook would be 6.5, and that's the pH at what most nutrients are like available at their optimum in that pH, and most things will grow their best there.
And I remember Jaye saying when we did the training in Meru that once you make the biochar, you definitely don't just add it straight to your soil, that it should be activated. I think because it's got all those pores and places where the microbes love to go and live. Like if you just throw it onto your pasture or into your crops, then all the microbes will run away from your plants and go and live in the biochar. But what was so there was, I think that was why you have to inoculate it, to put lots of microbes into the biochar, so that when you put it onto the soil, it enriches the soil. Is that right? Or yeah, I think I got that right.
I can see where you're getting at there. There's a little bit of, when I say that is correct, I guess you have to look at it from the perspective of, if people who are into looking at the application of biochar are looking at, say, field crops, so they're looking at vegetables, they're looking at grains, annual crops that need to have their nutrition stable and ready to go in the soil, because they have a very short growing window. In that case, it's really good to compost things, so that you have, the organic matter is already reduced into an available form. It's good to have liquid fertilizers. It's good to have biochar that's been pre-charged and is no longer like highly alkaline. It's been neutralized a little bit and it's soaked up some nutrients. So I think if you're talking about vegetable gardening, that is very true. It's going to be helpful. But because I'm usually doing agroforestry, I'm dealing with perennial systems, and I'm dealing with heavy mulches. So I'm not dealing with cultivated soil, but rather soil that's covered in lots of organic matter. So what I've found is that I don't have to do all those things anymore. I can just make the biochar, and unless I'm going to throw it into the chicken pen, or I'm going to use it to soak up some kind of nutrient excess, some kind of nutrient pollution, like wastewater or something like that, I will just throw it straight onto the tree rows straight onto the surface. Because when I do my pruning and I bring down all my mulch, it's all going to get covered over with organic matter anyway, and the worms will come up and they'll mix it all down. And what I find is that even when you see these pieces of charcoal, they just get swallowed by the soil, because when the worms are turning the soil over, they bring soil to the surface, and it will cover over. It'll cover over organic matter. So I think just some of the rules like that, they don't apply for agroforestry systems. So possibly for tea, I think you could just put it on the surface. And I've seen this done with chocolate. They actually put a ring of biochar on the surface of the soil around the cacao, and then put mulch on top of it.
And so for like we were saying earlier, if you do the open pit burn method, the resulting charcoal is generally softer than if you do it in a retort or a kiln. It's harder. Is there any difference how those, whether it's hard or soft, affects like agricultural crops, or one or the other is better, and also is one or the other better for if you want to make briquettes, because that's one of the big things we're looking at in Kenya is alternative cooking fuel sources.
Right. So for cooking fuel and for blacksmithing, the hard charcoal is preferred, right? Because it's going to burn more cleanly and with less smoke, because all the resins and the volatiles have already been gassed off, and so what's left behind is a very clean carbon shell. And so, yeah, for a briquette, it's probably want to be that higher temperature, longer duration charcoal. Whereas for agricultural purposes, the soft charcoal, like those creosotes and resins and partially combusted materials, are actually food for microbes. So, and because it's easy to break up, it's also nice. So I like the softer charcoal, the lower temperature charcoal, which is around about, I think it's under 500 degrees that gets burnt at. Whereas I think that the stuff that's harder is like about 700 degrees in the burning process. I don't fuss too much about this. I'll take any charcoal I can, because I figure that having a mix of different charcoal types in the blend, they all have different purposes. So that the harder stuff is maybe better at absorbing toxins, whereas the softer stuff is better at like providing nutrition. It has more residual nutrition in it. It all hasn't been gassed off. So yeah, and also I like small sizes, and I like big and small pieces in my mix. I don't try and powder it all. I think that the bigger pieces I can see that they act as habitat. So when you have a large piece of charcoal, it might not be giving its full benefit in terms of nutrient exchange, but if you pick it up, it's got fungi growing on it. There's moss and ferns and invertebrates living inside of it. Whereas your very fine charcoal is sort of interacting with the soil in a different way. So I think it's just all good.
Yeah, wow. And what I was trying to say before when my sound was going bonkers, was just reminded me when you were talking about making an earth kiln. A group I was been talking with in Uganda, they fire their own bricks, so they make mud bricks from the clay, very heavy clay soil there, and then they fire them, and they make like an oven out of the bricks, and then they have the holes down around the bottom, and yeah, how they like I forget exactly how they light the fire in them, but perhaps something like that could become a way to do biochar above the surface if it was called for.
If you have people who've already got those skills, that's just such a bonus. Like in Lombok, you have people who do tobacco curing, and so these people are already skilled in manipulation of fire and burning things. And I think those are the sorts of people that I would try and communicate with first, to use their existing knowledge to integrate into something like this. You know, use that prior knowledge. Yeah, and like, do they use? I know in West Africa in particular that the cooking on charcoal is really popular. So in Kenya, is what do people use? Do they use firewood, or do they in the rural areas firewood or charcoal? Maybe
I think
Leonardo.
It's mainly firewood.
Wood, yeah.
It's used here.
Yeah, so just if you're in an area where they already use charcoal, it's easier to find someone who knows how to make charcoal, which is great. I just also remember reading some of the books on the Amazonian dark earths that from areas where they do produce charcoal, they often produce the fines as well. We're talking about the tea fines. Well, when they make charcoal, they also end up with this fine charcoal dust. And what they were doing is digging pits, and then they'd push all the charcoal dust, like a layer of charcoal dust, into the pit, and then they would put down banana stems and banana trunks, and then they'll put in more charcoal dust and basically make like a buried compost with these two components. And then after 6 months or whatever, they'll dig it up, and it was an excellent compost. So that's just that's an example of, like, if you have agricultural waste, who knows, maybe even the tea leaves could be like this. You layer them in a pit in the ground, let it compost, and then after a while you can dig it up. When we're on the islands off the coast of Papua, when you're away from the mainland, you don't know when it's going to rain. It's because you have this oceanic effect, and so it might not rain for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it will be a huge downpour, and you never know when it's going to come. So we couldn't make compost above ground, like it's a traditional compost pile. So we had to invert it. We had to dig holes and make cones into the ground and build our compost heap upside down, so that the soil would keep the humidity and allow the composting process to happen. So that's and that worked really, really well. So that might be something, if you have these pits, and take your coffee or coffee waste, tea waste, mix it with charcoal and let it compost, and then when it's ready, you just dig it out and use it.
Okay. I think the difference with the charcoal we have, because there's the charcoal that's usually done locally, the one that is used for the jikos. We call them jikos. Natalie, I don't know what is a jiko in English. Is it a charcoal stove? Yeah. So we call them jikos. So those ones we use those for warming the house indoors. And so we have people who actually do the charcoal, but the problem with that is the charcoal is mostly got from indigenous trees, which is right now it's a challenge because the forest is shrinking, and the government is trying to protect the forests as well. So I think the use is going down significantly. And
that's who we should be engaging to, work on biochar for bamboo. And training up people. They have the skills of how to make charcoal. They just have to transfer it to bamboo.
Yeah, absolutely. Those people are going to be the great people to lead into, because their livelihood is under threat. They're on the wrong side of the current trend, and yet they've got so many skills. So if you could bring them in and say, look, well, what can we do with this bamboo? Can it be substituted? Like I cook on bamboo sometimes, bamboo charcoal. Sometimes I do some barbecuing in the backyard. But what I find is that the problem with bamboo charcoal in its raw form is that it doesn't last very long. It doesn't last as long as wood charcoal. But I think if it was if you created the bamboo charcoal and then you ground it, if it was smashed up and then formed into briquettes, I suspect that it'd be much better. So, but I think the perfect people is to talk to these charcoal people, get them to tell you whether this is true or not. Like, is this charcoal briquette what your customers want? And if it is, then you've got a great pathway there.
There's a lady, Jacqueline. She's in an organization called Eco Green Kenya. She's in the Busia region, which is a drier region, right, Leonard? I think. And she's been doing a lot with drier, isn't it, Busia?
No, Busia is quite okay. I think Busia is in the western part of Kenya, unless you meant someplace else.
She said they've got it down to quite a good art there. But she does use like all the bamboo, like the thicker bamboos, like what we would probably want to turn into furniture or utilize. Like they pick the best bamboos for making into the charcoal, so that they're nice and that they're pretty solid. The variety of bamboo is quite solid. So I guess it would depend a little bit on the on the type of bamboo. But I think for all the thinnings, like, because our aim is to like go into the farms, be able to thin out the clumps, get the clumps sort of so that the bamboos can be growing straighter, because at the moment they're all overcrowded. So taking out all the stuff that doesn't need to be there, and then turning that into furniture, maybe also some construction things. But then there's going to be a lot of bent and trashy stuff, and a lot of the bamboos that were planted were done through cutting propagation, and a lot of those ones in the middle of the clumps, they're quite small and thin and sticky, weedy, and it seems to be like now they're starting to shoot out the bigger culms from around the outside of the clump. So I guess probably they'll shoot up from the inside as well. But yeah, it's a lot of looks quite, a lot of it's quite trashy. So I think it would need to be round up.
I can just imagine how it looks after 8 to 10 years of not being managed. Because normally, normally what you do with bamboo like that is when you plant bamboo, the first couple of years it's going to come up and it's all going to be quite thin, and then each time it sends up a new shoot, that shoot is a little bit bigger until it starts to reach its full size, and then generally at around about year 4, you come in and you cut away all that young material, all that scrappy material that is from the previous generations. You'll cut that away, and then all the shoots that then continue to come will be the full size. And then your bamboo, let's just say you're harvesting for furniture, you want your bamboo culms to be at least 4 years old. You want them to be between, I think, 4 to 7 years old, to be adequately thick enough on the inside to be lignified. But then beyond 7 years old, it's too old, and you should get rid of it. So you're going to have both. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, is that with the old hammy bamboo? Because I know some of the bamboos, and in Jaye's experience, he says they lignify, after 3 or 4 years, and generally after 5 years, they're already dropped their leaves and decaying.
Well, 5 years is pretty fast.
After that,
because normally, like a bamboo culm lives about say 8 to 9 years.
But I guess that.
Yeah, and it'll go through a youthful period where it's ready.
Old hami, like.
Yeah, I guess each species will have its own pattern, but it does seem like 5 years is too young to be going senescent. There might be something else going on there, because normally you need 4 years to mature, and then they have, like a human being, you have your youth, and then you have
what variety of
prolonged adulthood, and then you have a decline.
Is that? Is that in Australia or Papua?
Yes, in Australia and Indonesia. So it's pretty much the same. Not much difference. But I have noticed when I do my pruning, because I come back after 10 years away to these really unmanaged clumps. And when you do prune them and you take away all that young, scrappy growth, and you take away anything that's dead or dying or overaged, that there's the next crop of bamboo that you get is more healthy, because it's no longer having to share all its resources with too many stems. So you'll really improve the quality of your bamboo by this pruning process.
Yeah, that was something Jaye said as well. When the bamboos aren't pruned, it's a grass, so especially in the center of the clump where it's never been cleaned out, it's actually at a stagnant growth stage. So once you start to prune that clump, it'll start shooting. Damn, this connection. I don't know.
I can hear you well. I can hear you. It's better than
okay. All right. Just lost my screen.
No, that's true. That's true of almost any plant. If you have any plant that is not managed for a long period of time, it will become senescent. It will become full of dead and diseased branches, and these will have a negative impact on the rest of the plant, and it will just become stagnant. And then the right kind of pruning at the right time is so invigorating for almost all plants.
So would there be a specific time of year or before the rainy season or during the rainy? I know they say don't harvest during the rainy season, but when is there a better time to work on those clumps to bring them back into a productive state?
As for the bamboo, it's better to harvest the bamboo in the dry season.
Mm-hmm.
The bamboo will be better quality and also be less full of moisture and more likely to dry faster. The only provision there is, like, this is an issue I have in Australia. I'm harvesting bamboo now in winter, and I have to get it dry and I have to burn it before the fire season comes, because when it becomes spring and hot, there's a fire ban. I'm not allowed to burn anything, and then I'll have mountains of highly flammable bamboo around my property. So it's a window that I have to catch. It won't burn in the wet season. I have to cut it now, get it dry and burnt basically by August. And that's something you have to consider in your context. How much of a fire risk is it?
Well, it's going to be, but I don't think fires are such a big issue in Kenya, are they? I mean, it's pretty deforested and not in Mount Kenya anyway, not in the region where we were. Mostly, but I forgot what just came to mind then. But
I think Dendrocalamus, you're on the equator and you have two wet seasons and 2 dry seasons. So I'm not exactly sure when your bamboo will shoot, but there will be usually one time of year for about a 3 or 4 month period where any particular species will do all its shoots for the year, and then after that there's nothing. So there's, I guess, 2 important times in the dry season. You're harvesting the mature culms, and then during the shooting season you'll be removing excess shoots, because the bamboo clump will push up way too many shoots than you want for high quality bamboo. So from one clump I usually only leave like 3 or 4 shoots per year.
Okay.
So you go 3 or 4, say it's 4 shoots per year, and then I want them to be at least 4 years old. So a clump should really have no more than about 12 stems. Now this changes a little bit depending on the size of the bamboo. Like the smaller the bamboo, smaller the stem, the more shoots it will have in a clump.
Oh wow.
But as you get to old hamii, it's about 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to can you bring up a quick picture, Leonard, of your clump, your clumps there in Kericho? Have you got anything handy?
Yeah, let me do it from the ones I shared on WhatsApp.
Okay. Just while he's finding that, did you ever know Glenn Withers at JCU, Reville? Or Bill, the guys doing the re-veg along the rivers and stuff? I think you might have been before then. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
No, I didn't. But I did meet up with the guys who are doing other things, like like the pinto peanut and the desmanthus stuff, which is really interesting, like tropical legume forages and things like that.
Oh, okay.
Oh wow, that's very overgrown, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we really want to. What Durnford Dart, who wrote this book, and Natalie, you might want to pick up a copy when you're in Australia.
Okay.
I'll send you a link to this book, and then you could possibly scan it and then distribute it. Anyway, he talks about keyholing. So a bamboo like that, you would attack it from one side and make like a keyhole, like in permaculture, the keyhole garden. So you hollow it out in the center, and then it makes it easy to access. So go straight for the center and then clean out the center, and then you start to reduce the number of stems. So it looks like a C. Yeah.
Oh, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. For the biochar, I think if we had to find a replacement for the charcoal, the wood charcoal that's being done.
That's what Jaye was teaching at the
Sorry, I think Natalie's videos.
Okay.
Oh, it's lagging behind.
Yeah, that's what Jaye was teaching at the Meru, was about keyholing. So I think he's read that book too.
Yeah, it was a very inspirational book. I would recommend it as a baseline information for people who want to get into growing lots of bamboo. Leonardo was just talking about, it was asking about substituting wood charcoal.
That's right. I think
What was your question there?
Yeah, the right binder, because I guess the binder would really matter to make the bamboo charcoal last longer. I don't know what are some of the cost-effective ones, because I heard of cow dung, using cow dung as a binder, but I don't know if it burns with a lot of smoke. Some use cassava flour, which I don't know if it's cost-effective because it's also a food. It's a food crop, so I don't know whether it makes sense to burn it or rather. Yeah, what would be the best binder for?
To be honest, I don't know what would be the best, but I would just be looking at starch. So that cassava thing is interesting because even though, yeah, it is a food and it obviously requires quite a lot of processing to dig up the cassava, to peel it, to cut it, to dry it, to powder it. It's quite labor intensive. So I wonder, like, what other kinds of starches are available? Like, is there maize starch? Like, that might be cheaper. And also, like, what percentage do we need? Because even if it is a food crop and you're using up a little bit of food to bind together the charcoal, if it's such a small amount, then it probably doesn't matter very much. And you could just take advantage of the fact that it's freely available.
Maybe I can just do research around here to see if first maybe I'll try to plant a bit of cassava, see how long it takes. And because maize is out of bounds for now, because it's usually used to process the maize flour, which is used to make ugali. I think Natalie had a taste of ugali from I know you call it corn, but yeah, it's maize.
Yes,
so
maize.
Yeah, so
yeah,
for us, it's kind of it's borderline taboo to use. Yeah.
Yes. I understand.
To actually maybe try to ban.
What about?
I understand. Yeah, there's other cultures that I've been in where, like,
What about
I work with Turkish people, and you're not allowed to throw bread in the bin.
food?
You must bury it.
What about the kudzu?
Pardon?
Sorry, Leonard. What about kudzu? You know, what is it oh gosh, again. What is it that they plant that's a quick cash crop that you said they clearing the bamboo and planting kudzu, or was it kudzu or some kind of arrowroot?
Yeah,
that the farmers can get quick cash. Arrowroot, because I mean that's also a starch. I think we should ask Jacqueline because I think she's got it pretty well perfected. I think she'd be a good person to bring in on that side.
I
it's definitely
was looking at what
for
was
me.
the cheapest what's cheap and available and not taboo, and then just run experiments. Yeah. So like, yep. It's like, you know, like with the palm fiber, there's black palm fibers in Bali. The ones that they only allowed to be used as a roof for a temple or a traditional house. And if you were to use it for any other purpose, it's like taboo. But if we go across to Lombok, it's not. So then we can use it for water filtration in Lombok. But in Bali, you're not allowed to.
Oh, can you use that fiber for water filtration?
Oh yeah, it's excellent. It's excellent. The black fibers from around the sugar palm. So yeah, I understand why we can't use maize starch in Kenya if it's considered to be borderline taboo. We have to find something else.
Yeah, well, I saw when I was doing the briquettes with Joel and those guys during COVID, I just they used cassava flour, and back then they used, like I said, like, you know, get the 44-gallon drum and cut the holes in the bottom, put it on the bricks, cover it and light it up, and then, you know, they only had a small 60-liter drum, but they were, you know, using the holes. What's the waste from the corn once they had taken the, what do they call that? The
corn cob?
Cob of the corn.
Yeah, corn cob. Yeah.
They were using that. And I forget a few other things to make to put in the biochar. But yeah, they use cassava flour. I mean, here in Asia, like you buy cassava and rice flour fairly cheaply.
Yeah. From low quality rice.
Yeah. And they do grow rice in Kenya as well. So maybe would it be like, maybe you just get the really crappy rice, grind it up and turn, and that would become a glue, right? Because it's the same like flour, like wheat flour, becomes a glue.
Yeah. In Australia, I'd use wheat. I'd use wheat to bind charcoal because that's our local, that's the thing we can produce the most of. And it's sticky because of the gluten.
Yeah. Yeah. They have millet and arrowroot in Kenya, but that's more of a food crop, and it's also it's more nutritional than maize even, but it's just not.
Yes, it would be. I think some of this research probably already exists out of India, because the first time I ever came across charcoal briquetting was from a video that I bought via mail order. I think it was back in 1996 from a institution called ARTI. It was the Appropriate Technology Research Institute or something in India, and they were showing how to make. There was a part B to the video, and they were basically showing how to cook sugarcane trash. So they filled up all these drums in the field with all the sugarcane trash, and then they put a ring around it, and then they lit a fire on top, and it was just basically like a retort. And after the fire was over, they opened up all the drums, and it was all charcoal on the inside, and then they crushed that up, mixed it with flour, made it into a paste, and then squeezed it out into briquettes, and the women were selling those charcoal briquettes. So yeah, this was 30 years ago, nearly 30 years ago. So I'm sure if we look around, we'll find some recipes out of India for briquettes as well.
And I do remember seeing a YouTube video on a lady in Kenya who was just going around the streets picking up trash, like organic trash, banana plant bits and pieces and what have you, and turning that into biochar, and she made a business out of it. She was selling the charcoal in her local store. So there's definitely a market there for it, and the charcoal side, on the fertilizer side, and yeah. Well, it's pretty awesome. Have you got any other questions, Leonard? And
not really questions, but just to comment on the biochar and all that. I think the goal is to do it on a small scale first, to experiment, apply it on maybe a block on the farm, and then the other part is just if it's manure, just applying manure on one side, and then the other mixing the manure with biochar and applying it. and then being able to record that and then share it to the farmers to show them, because the good thing about Kenyans is if something works, then they will take it up, as long as it doesn't cost too much and
yes.
actually works. Then I believe that's it's something that can easily be adopted, especially for the farmers. And then for the part, the charcoal part, maybe to research and get to see if we can find any binders around that are not too expensive, or do the mathematics and see how much for the normal charcoal, the cost benefit analysis, whether the costs outweigh making the biochar and binder from bamboo, or just going for the wood charcoal. So if using the flour and biochar produces briquettes that are cheaper than buying the one that the charcoal done from indigenous trees, then yeah, the substitute might be viable. For bamboo, I wish we didn't have to use it so much to do the biochar. I wish we would have the skills to build with it, because that's more valuable. And we are really hoping to get more training, to get to know how to build with the bamboo, to do furniture, to do more valuable things with bamboo, because I think the good part about the area in Kenya where we stay is that there's so much available space to plant bamboo, but the farmers do not want to plant more of it, because they just see it as something, an invasive species that takes up space and has no market, or has no users, to put it that way. So if we can actually get to do something with it, then as I said, once they see the benefits, they do something out of it, then I think it will now make sense. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, thank you, Leonardo. I agree with that 100%. Seen that as well. Like, we have to figure out, compare the cost of doing something versus what's happening now, and then have many alternatives, and it has to fit with people's lives. It has to make their lives better. And particularly there's that special case with the government trying to stop people from making charcoal from native trees. That's like a special situation where, like, an old livelihood is becoming less viable, and you need an alternative. But yeah, in the case of the farming, I think when you start mixing the manure with the charcoal, you're going to see some excellent results. Because whether I've done it in Australia or Lombok or Papua, always when we mix charcoal and compost, or charcoal and manure, we get quite a special result.
And there are commercial companies in Kenya like wanting to buy biochar and turning it into organic fertilizer, and the demand for that is much greater than the supply available. So there's definitely things going on where the government's trying to get, well, I think it's the government is trying to get those skills widespread, so that this kind of production can be made. And there is also the agricultural waste biochar, but I guess for things like water filtration, and I'm not sure how much of the agricultural fertilizers or pesticides would actually get transferred into the biochar for filtration. Do you think?
Almost none.
Quick question.
Almost
none. It all gets burned off.
Burnt off, yeah.
Yeah,
burnt off. I was just wondering, Leonardo, what happens to the corn cobs when people grow maize? Because I know in Indonesia they just burn them on the side of the road, and it makes me cry. because they make excellent compost and excellent worm farm and excellent biochar.
I think currently in most households in Kenya, it's used for lighting stoves, and yeah, it's just used. It's burnt as fuel. So yeah, so I think if there's a company, I think that's actually doing biochar out of it around here. Yeah, so
it's just another material that does turn to biochar very easily, and yeah, we were using that in Lombok. We took advantage of it because people had no value for it, and
yeah, I think that could also work here.
Yep.
Could work very well in Kenya because it's not very valuable as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more into the building side too. Like, I didn't really know anything about biochar before going to Kenya in January. I knew vaguely, and like what I'd done with the guys in Uganda, but I think like as a short-term income and to like kind of kickstart the whole bamboo industry thing, like there has to be that basic level of, and it's like the bread and butter income, something that's going to be keeping on getting produced. And you need to do that in order to get the clumps under control, or not under control, but I mean, get maintenance so that they're going to actually be producing good quality bamboos. Because at the moment it's just like all and a mess. And
yeah,
so
it's not going to be good.
Yeah,
it won't be good until you clean it up.
So part of the aim
there's
is
an economic model that will help you. If you something that could support 2 to 4 people, I don't know what the incomes are over there, but what kind of business model could make enough money out of cleaning up the bamboo to actually support the wages of 2 to 4 people, so that you're getting,
well, if from the cleanup you're getting biochar and that's being sold, then surely that's sort of hopefully going to bring enough income. How much is a sack of charcoal there, Leonard, of cooking fuel? Because that's what most people use, isn't it? I mean, I'm just going off what I saw in the Philippines also. People still burning trees. Or how much is a sack of charcoal? Like 20 kilo or 10 kilo? What do they sell it in there?
Yeah, it's around for 20 kilos, it's around 700 to 1,000 shillings around here. So 1,000 shillings, the exchange rate of I think it's 130 to the dollar right now. So that's around 7.69. That's around $8 for the one sack of it, which is it's around 20 kilos.
Yeah, it's similar to Indonesia then. Similar for coconut charcoal and things like that. So what's a monthly wage for a agricultural worker in Kenya? So for the kind of person who would perform this job of cleaning bamboo, chopping, making charcoal.
Okay, if we do it, say that the minimum amount, that would be around 10,000 shillings a month, which is around $80, 80 USD. Yeah, I know it's quite low. I think Natalie had projected in the proposal if we can pay the youth 1,000 shillings a day, which comes to around 30,000 shillings, 30,000 shillings a month, which is around 230 USD a month. That would be decent enough to keep them doing it without having to look for other supplementing jobs.
Yeah.
I
mean, in my situation in Indonesia, in a situation like this, I'd want to be sort of working with people more intensively to give them like a training wage while you figure out how to do things, and then you give them a basic salary with the opportunity for like bonus. So make it quite easy for them to exceed that basic salary by, you get this much, and then for every sack of charcoal we produce, you get extra. So,
Yeah.
and then try and work with them to make them more efficient so that they can actually earn like more money by just making more charcoal. That's often how I'd approach it, but yeah, every place is a bit different. But it looks pretty good. Yeah, like if it's 700 to 1,000 per sack, and yeah, like that's just quite doable. People were working efficiently. They can easily cover the salary.
Yeah.
And Reville was saying at the start, I'm not sure if you caught that part of the conversation, Leonard, but when they have a lot of mass that needs to burn, they do bigger pits, and square pits, and like the whole columns, like they don't even chop it up because that takes a lot of labor. So it'll really come down to like working out what is the optimal number of columns to have in a clump as well. Because I'm not an expert on that. I think Jaye knows a fair bit, but yeah, you don't. From what I see here, you don't want to over cull it, because if there's not enough competition, the bamboos will just kind of go, whoops, like lazily grow out. Where you've got to have that right amount of competition so they grow. They got to compete and grow up and grow nice and straight without going like how they are at the moment. So, and that's sort of my kind of thing. Reville is like, well, it's going to take another 3 or 4 years for those clumps to produce the bamboos that are going to be harvestable for construction. So in the meantime, we've got to find like what's the income, what's going to get people through at the moment. And yeah, we can be doing some furniture and small little ballets, like those kind of things I think will take off in Kenya, when people can actually, turn bamboo into like a vegetable stand, or, something like the little ballet or panga, they call it in Ghana. And, build up the skill level and then be able to do bigger buildings. But, yeah, because there is already a company producing treated bamboo, because that's one of our focuses as well, is about being able to treat the bamboo at the local level, maybe having also to do with the cooperatives or treatment center for an area rather than having to ship, truck things a long way. And Jaye's thing is about the vertical soak diffusion and building a hyperboloid tower and standing up the bamboos on the tower and treating them affordably with the borax. So that's what we went through in Meru in January. But yeah, and this whole biochar thing is sort of like sprung up around it all, because yeah, it's all part of the management side, and especially with the deforestation and burning wood for fuel. That was one of the first things I asked Joel in Uganda when I started this whole Africa conversation was with him. And that was the first thing I just sort of thought was like, what do you guys cook on there? He said, yeah, like charcoal or wood. And yeah, that's when I thought, okay, well, let's do something with, making briquettes or some sort of alternative to wood fuel that, it's just cutting down more trees.
I'm glad I could see the picture of those bamboo clumps, because I can see you need to remove at least 80% of your biomass from a clump that looks like that. It's going to look very beautiful and very sparse once it's cleared out. But the following year, you get really nice shoots coming up. But it just means, you've got a lot of material there to use, and some of it is useful for furniture, like you said, but a lot of it's just too scrappy. And if you don't burn it, it's going to be impossible to get rid of. There'll be mountains of the stuff. So yeah, biochar is really a perfect way to deal with clumps like that.
Would you do like a big pit, or would you chop it up finer kind of thing?
No, I would do, what I try and do is just do a pit that's the length of the pieces that I'm trying to burn, to a certain degree. Like you know, let's say it's 20. If it was 20 meters tall, I'm not going to do a 20-meter trench. I might do a 5 to 6 meter trench, and like feed in lengths of bamboo. I definitely don't cut it up into small pieces, because that just takes away all the efficiency.
Okay. Because to get when we were at Meru, to get all the bamboo into the kiln thing, whatever it's called, we were chopping it all up quite a lot.
Yeah, that makes it hard, because not only do you have to spend all that time chopping it up, and it's pretty hard, and it's high in silica, so it's going to blunt your tools much faster than most wood, and it's hollow on the inside, so it's a whole lot of space for not a lot of mass.
So how do you stop it from exploding, or you just put up with the boom?
Oh, this is a joke I had with some friends. Yeah, I don't stop it from exploding. I just, it's like a party, like a Mexican wedding with the firecrackers going off.
Okay.
Yeah, put some ear covers on and just, like gunshots.
Yeah, you haven't heard a bamboo fire, Leonard? Don't think so.
There's yeah, I've had bamboo, but not on a large scale. I once thought that my neighbor wanted to clear it using fire, but it was just something accidental and it was put out. So, but if it would have caught fire, it would have been a really big one, because he has the very thick bamboo clumps with lots of dry leaves on the ground, because during the dry season in February.
Yeah.
So if that one catches fire, then there's no stopping it, because
it's very flammable.
Yeah.
Once it's dry.
I meant like when you put bamboo like in a fire, all the nodes, like when you burn it, like they get to a point where they just explode because there's no. So it like gives you a bit of a shock sometimes if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, I think my sister used to light them during December holidays. There was some bamboo clumps that had been cut by my mother just outside the house. So it was growing really huge and taking up the space around the house. So I think my sister thought it was good firewood, and suddenly, even the cat was really the cat had to jump out the window, and everyone else had to run because they didn't know that bamboo explodes when put in fire. So yeah, it's actually very scary. It's like yeah.
I think it's more of a shock than a danger. Like
Really?
I have never had any actual problem with the exploding bamboo. It's just the sound, and if you make sure your burn space around you is clear of flammable materials anyway, then if any ember goes flying around, it's not going to cause any problem. But I've never seen anything that made me scared from the exploding bamboo. Like I wasn't worried it was going to, it's not like like an exploding bridge with dynamite. It's things are not going to fly everywhere. It's very mild.
The face blown off.
Yeah, it's just cosmetic.
Just
but it's
also
scary.
just on that thing of the burning and going back to the leaves, Reville. Sorry. When, like you were saying, we were talking about the slash and burn, and that they put the leaves over the charcoal once they've made the charcoal. Would that be something like when we where we do the thinning or the clumps in say like Leonard's place? What would you do with the leaves? Like compost them like in the ground, like dig a big hole, or just lay them over the biochar once it's burnt, or
well, maybe take them away. Depends what people do. People use mulch there. Is that part of the tradition, using mulch or not?
Not sure, Leonard.
Or
Yeah,
do they burn everything?
Mulch is used, but mostly it's not used because mulching is only done where there's maybe special crops like passion fruits and yeah, because the dry season is only in January, February, so it lasts about only a month, and then the rest of the year there's enough rain, so people don't really bother with mulching as much.
Yeah.
Because there's not so much need to conserve moisture in the soil.
Well, I mean, I've used it for many purposes. I have used it for mulch in my gardens. I've used it for bedding for my chickens, and then they turn it into very good compost, because chicken manure plus bamboo leaves, and they mix it all together and they love it so much. It makes a really good compost. It's high in silica, which is good for, crops that might be susceptible to fungi. They need a bit more silica. Or if I just have no reason to use it, I just rake it up into a big pile. And because it's in a bigger pile, and then when the rainy season comes, it will actually break down faster. It'll sort of just turn into a semi-compost in one spot. And then I can either just leave it there or take it away when I need it.
Well, I think the idea of using it on chicken house and generally for the animals, animal beddings, I think that's a very good one.
Yeah, that would be a really good use, because then the byproduct of using it that way is that you value add to it even further. It will become really excellent fertilizer and mulch after that.
Do cows eat the leaves or anything?
Yeah, when they're green, they do. Yes.
And
I think even during the dry season, when it's dry, then you cut bamboo leaves, and cows really love it because during the dry season they want something green to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, when I cut bamboo and it falls over my fence, all my neighbors' cows, they come running, and they love it. They'll push to the fence to try and get to the bamboo leaves, and they'll strip all the leaves off, which is it's fine.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Amazing. It's getting. I think we're getting a little about 5 minutes. What's that? 9. Gee, had a good effort. That was a quick, long conversation. Nuggets. I was going to just say about the re-veg stuff. Reville, the guys at JCU, they Glenn figured out, like, they used to go and replant all the seedlings from the forest around North Queensland there. And they had very low survival rates. And they figured out if they just planted the free pioneer species like the acacia, mangium, macaranga, and I forget the other one now, but just the pioneer species, and they just had to look after them for the first couple of years so they didn't get smothered by weeds. But they would just plant them in the guinea grass, or they'd round up it all. They'd round up it first, and then they'd plant it out, and they'd put one fertilizer thing in the bottom of each hole, and then they'd be up in a couple of years. First year or second year, they'd have to come and whip a snip around them. And after that, they get up, and then they start shading out the grass. And then once they get up further, the birds come in and they drop the seeds of the other species, and then it just regenerates itself.
Yeah, that's thinking. That's thinking with your head. Because there's never enough work. We have to do things nature's way. Sort of got to figure it out. Yeah, that's what we're doing in Papua. We're trying to figure out what can do that in the blady grass areas. Like what trees can survive in the harshest of conditions and just create that habitat structure. And then we see that once we have that structure, the birds come from the forest, they drop the seeds, and it just starts to regenerate on its own.
Yeah, because I think most of those rainforest species, they need the canopy to grow up with a bit of shade.
Yes.
Awesome. Do they plant any rattan? Have you planted rattan?
It grows naturally, but no one plants it.
Well, yeah.
Which is a
'Cause I
pity.